The forest was dense, alive with whispers that no human ear had ever fully understood. Leaves rustled as if carrying secret messages. A thin mist hung low, curling around the roots like quiet fingers. I stepped carefully, my boots sinking slightly into the damp earth. The air smelled of wet moss and decaying wood. Every sound was amplified, from the distant snap of a branch to the soft brush of leaves against my leg. I was not alone. I knew it, even before I saw anything. A presence moved with me, always just beyond my sight. It made no sound, yet I could feel its gaze on my back. I stopped, trying to peer through the fog. Shadows danced between the trees, forming shapes that were almost human. My heart beat faster. Something heavy shifted nearby. A large branch broke underfoot, startling me. I called out, but my voice was swallowed instantly by the forest. No echo returned, only the thick, oppressive silence. Then I saw it, not fully, not clearly, but enough to make my skin crawl. A figure stood between the trunks of two ancient trees. It was tall, unnaturally still. Its eyes glimmered like wet stones in the dim light. It did not move when I breathed, when I shifted, when I whispered. It simply watched. I felt a cold shiver run down my spine. The air seemed heavier, thicker, as though the forest itself was pressing in. Leaves brushed my face without wind. Something cold and deliberate touched my shoulder. I spun around. Nothing. Then I heard it. Not a roar, not a whisper, but a sound that was both inside my mind and in the air around me. It mimicked my heartbeat. I realized my chest was moving in sync with it. It knew me. It understood me. I could not explain it, but I felt a strange connection. A terror mixed with a terrible curiosity. The figure stepped forward. I could see its face now. It was human, yet not human. Features blurred like smoke, edges that should not exist. Eyes deep and black, holding storms and shadows within them. Its lips did not move, but I heard a voice inside my head. You should not be here. The ground trembled slightly. I tried to move, but my legs refused. The mist thickened, wrapping around me like chains. Branches clawed at my clothes, at my skin. The silent companion moved closer. I could feel its breath, cold and wet, without a sound. The jungle had changed. It was no longer a place of trees and birds. It had become a living, watching entity. A scream rose from my throat, raw and trembling. The figure raised its hand, and the forest stilled instantly. No birds, no insects, no wind. Only the quiet, deliberate watching. And then I realized it was not alone. Shapes shifted in the fog, more figures, tall and silent. They surrounded me, circling, never breaking the stillness. Each held the same gaze, empty yet knowing. I wanted to run. I wanted to flee into the unknown paths. But the forest would not let me. Roots shifted underfoot, forming walls and barriers. Branches twisted, blocking every way. The mist closed in, cold and suffocating. I was trapped, and yet I felt no panic. Only the presence, watching, patient, eternal. I forced my gaze toward the silent companion nearest to me. Its face had shifted slightly, like smoke twisting in the wind, forming something almost familiar. It was a reflection of me, yet wrong. Eyes too deep, skin too pale, a mouth that smiled without humor. A shiver ran down my spine. I realized the forest had been waiting. It was not random that I had entered this place. The ground beneath me trembled again, louder this time. Roots split and shifted, forming jagged walls that blocked the few paths I thought I could escape through. The mist thickened, searing cold against my skin. Every breath I drew seemed to carry the weight of the forest itself. I swallowed, my throat dry. A whisper of movement came from above. Branches arched like claws, casting flickering shadows that moved independently of the light. You are part of it now, the silent voice echoed in my mind. I wanted to scream, but no sound emerged. The companions began moving, slow and deliberate, their feet not touching the earth. They glided, or floated, or something stranger, following my every instinctive motion. I stumbled backward. A thick vine coiled around my ankle, pulling me down. Panic clawed at me, but my mind felt detached, observing the horror as if from the outside. The mist parted for a moment. I saw the heart of the forest. A hollow, ancient tree, enormous, its bark black and glistening like wet obsidian. Inside the hollow, shapes twisted and wreathed. They were shadows, yet they were alive. Faces pressed against the inner walls of the tree, screaming in silence. I recognized some of them. Travelers who had entered this forest before me. Their eyes hollow, their mouths open in eternal horror. My chest tightened. The companions whispered again in my mind. We welcome you. You belong here. The ground beneath me groaned. Branches bent low, brushing against my shoulders with deliberate force. A figure stepped forward from the mist. Its hands were long and thin, ending in points that glimmered in the dim light. It touched my forehead gently. Pain, sharp and immediate, exploded in my head. Visions flashed behind my eyes. Forests that moved like living organisms, rivers that ran backward, skies filled with shapes I could not name. Every memory of the world I had known warped and twisted. I screamed in my mind, and my scream echoed back through the mist, but I felt it as cold as stone. The companions began to close in. I tried to move, tried to push past the twisting roots and grasp at the fog, but it resisted. The forest was a living cage. The mist thickened so much that I could no longer see my own hands. I felt something brush my face. A voice, soft and chilling, spoke. Do not fear. Fear is what binds you to the old world. Let go. I wanted to run. I wanted to fight, but my body would not respond. I felt my mind slipping, fragmenting. The companions circled me completely now, their faces merging with mine, reflecting every doubt, every fear I had ever felt. It was unbearable, and yet, the terror carried a strange clarity. I understood, even in the panic, that this forest had existed long before me. It had always been alive. It had always watched, and now it wanted me. I felt my heartbeat sync with the forest. Each thrum echoed through the roots, through the mist, through the companions around me. I tried to resist, but it was impossible. The air pressed in on me. I inhaled and tasted decay, earth, rain, and something metallic, something ancient. A hand, impossibly cold, clasped mine. It guided me forward, into the hollow of the black tree. Inside, the air was thicker, warmer, almost suffocating. The shapes on the walls twisted closer. Faces of the lost travelers reached toward me. I saw the fear in them, frozen in endless torment. And I understood, this forest did not kill. It absorbed. It claimed. It made you part of itself, forever. The companion beside me leaned closer, its face merging with my own. You are ours now, it whispered. And in that instant, I felt the last thread of my old self break. The forest exhaled, a living, sentient breath that rattled through my bones. Every fear, every doubt, every memory I had carried vanished into the mist. And then silence. Not ordinary silence. A silence so deep it felt like the world had ended. I realized I was still alive, but not as I had been. The companions were gone, or perhaps, I had become one of them. I looked around, and the forest seemed to pulse with recognition, a heartbeat. In the shadows, a presence brushed past me, and I understood fully. The silent companion had never been alone. It had been waiting for me to join it. And now I would walk forever in the forest, unseen, unheard, a shadow among shadows. The silent companion of the jungle. Days, or perhaps years, passed, though time no longer held meaning in this place. The forest moved around me, alive with whispers, shadows, and the soft rustle of unseen creatures. I walked among the trees, no longer afraid, no longer alone. The silent companions were everywhere and nowhere, guiding me, watching me, shaping me into something I could not name. I found a clearing bathed in pale, greenish light. The mist lifted slightly here, revealing a pool of water so clear it mirrored the sky perfectly. I knelt beside it, gazing at my reflection. The face staring back was both mine and not mine. Eyes deep, shadowed, carrying a knowledge beyond words. I smiled, and the reflection smiled with me. The companions appeared at the edges of the clearing, silent, patient. They did not move closer, but I could feel their presence in every breath of wind, every sway of leaf, every flicker of shadow. It was not hostility I felt. It was acceptance. I had become part of the forest. The forest had become part of me. A soft breeze carried a familiar scent of moss and rain. For the first time since entering, I felt calm. The terror, the panic, the unending fear, they had dissolved into understanding. The jungle was not cruel. It was eternal. It was patient. It was alive. I rose, brushing the water from my hands. A path unfolded before me, winding through the trees, glowing faintly with the life of the forest. I stepped forward. The companions followed silently, like shadows merged with my own. I walked deeper into the jungle, not running, not resisting, only moving with it. And in that movement, I realized the truth. I had found a home in the heartbeat of the wilderness. The forest whispered around me, softly, gently, like an old friend speaking in a language I could finally understand. I was no longer a visitor. I was the silent companion of the jungle. And the jungle, in turn, was my own.